I was wrong in doing what I did.
No, no! No! Are you listening?
Sean here, and today we're sending a message to Lorne's psychologist because I don't think you're intentionally just passing this guy off. I could see how easy it would be because no matter what you say, he's going to get defensive and he's going to give you 1,000 reasons as to why he tried to have sex with a kid and traffic her across state lines. Trust us, we've all dealt with people who believe they were wronged, and when you ask them about it, they get emotional. They are adamant that they did nothing wrong. People like Darkside Phil, which I highly recommend you look up on the internet, you will hear the words, "I literally did nothing wrong," despite the fact that he has done everything wrong. Lorne is the same way. I remember feeling slighted once. It was when I was younger, and I was really angry because all I was focused on was what happened to me. And it wasn't even a big deal, and partially my fault. This is all Lorne's fault. He refuses to accept that it's all his fault. When you took him on as a patient, the first thing you should have done is noticed he was below average intelligence, as I have said before. The first time he started talking about what he did, he blamed it on others. He looked at you and he blamed it on others. He didn't take responsibility. He probably started going crazy against NBC. He probably started railing against the police and perverted justice and Xavier Von Erck, and then went into his catfish. It's all well rehearsed. And for someone who never spoke with him, at least someone who doesn't have a psychology degree or a background in psychiatry, maybe they would have fallen for it. But me, not a chance. I don't even have the degrees that you do. I only have a bachelor's degree. You have more than I do, and you are more than qualified, which makes me question, how did you not see it? A guy like Lorne, we've all spoken to, maybe not as extreme, but one of the first things you should have said to him is what I think you should say to all patients with a serious offense. I am not here to coddle you, as he likes to say. I'm not here to placate you or patronize you. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. My job is to honestly evaluate you. Whether you want me to or not, whether you want to believe me or not, believe the things I say, that is what I'm here to do. And any defense you offer will be taken into consideration in my diagnosis. You should have told him the reasons you give me are not necessarily the truth. They are reasons that you've told yourself for years to protect yourself. And it's unhealthy, and it's why you are still on level 1. Why you haven't progressed, why you just can't seem to get past the class. Let him know he's not the first person who claims to be reformed, but there are still underlying issues and things he hasn't confronted and dealt with. Reiterate that he hasn't been able to pass his class, and that this is a telltale sign that he refuses to accept his responsibilities in what he did. It's been so long that he now tries to appease whoever talks to him by saying, I agree, I should have gone to prison. But he will add a stipulation, not for that long, and then he'll start railing against the NBC and Xavier Von Erck and the police and Chris Hansen and the catfish, because no matter what you say, even if it appears that he's going to accept responsibility, he is not really doing so. He also believes that if you regurgitate what he tells you, it is fact. So if you write in your report that Mr. Armstrong says he is not attracted to children, again, he is of below average intelligence and he's in denial. He's going to assume that you took it and it is now in stone. It's in stone that he's not interested in kids. This guy will say to his friends, see, I told the psychologist that I wasn't interested in kids, and she took enough time to write it down, so it's fact. She didn't write that it wasn't true. He won't take into account everything you've written before that and after that. I don't care if you believe this man is attracted to older women. He is not. He's desperate. And had he really been attracted to older women, he would be out there stalking them, trying to land a woman so that he could get busy. Lorne's number one concern has and always will be sex. He went after Kayla because it would have been someone more inexperienced than he was. Now, I'm not saying I'm smarter than you, to whoever his psychologist is, but at this point, someone needs to be brutally honest with him. I've diagnosed this man without even speaking to him because I don't judge people on what they say, I judge them on their actions. I judge Lorne on the fact that he blames everything he's ever done on everyone else. How he projects what he says is FALSE, his faults, onto everyone else. This is not the type of person you can have a sit-down interview with and come up with anything conclusive. He doesn't understand that you are state-appointed, that you are not there to help him. You are there to protect others. Lorne doesn't believe he's a danger, but all of his behavior says otherwise. The minute he senses any kind of weakness, he's going after it. I suggest that you look up Rhoda. Look up Lorne Armstrong, Rhoda. This is a young girl. He was in sort of a guardian position. And what did he do? Try to help her? No. He groomed her. He prepped her to come live with him, thinking she was going to be someone he could just sexually molest whenever he wanted. Look up his phone calls. It is the most honest you will ever hear him be, because everything for him is about sex. So when there's a chance of sex involved, this man is going to do whatever it takes. He needs to be on medication. If you go back and watch my other videos, I preach all the time. He can't focus. He doesn't understand what his duty should be, what his responsibility should be. He makes snap judgments. We all know he's impulsive. You should have seen that immediately. He's in denial. He needs medication. My recommendation is Lamictal. If he tells you he's depressed, I assure you, this man is not. The only time he is ever sad is when he doesn't get what he wants. And when he's in your office, he's not getting what he wants. If you listen to how he describes his court-appointed therapist and his counselor, the only ones he likes are women because he's terrified of all men, so his psychologist should be a man. What he is saying to these females is to try to get sympathy and possibly to try to score with them. I'm not in that room, but I would imagine that's part of it. He puts on a show for women, a show that any man can see through. Any man that was raised worth his weight in salt, any man that was raised to be a good man, a good person, they're going to see right through it. And they're going to call him out on what he says is bullshit. He honestly doesn't understand that you are not there. You're not there to keep him there and lie. He says the polygrapher lied. He says everybody, probation and parole lied, and his counselor lied. Failed a polygraph. Admitted in being interested in children. And then when somebody questions him, well, that never happened. They all lied. That's a sure sign that this man is in denial. If he had any friends, if he had anybody that cared about him, he wouldn't tell them the truth. Those would be the people you would confide in, and he couldn't even do that. He tries to garner sympathy by saying, oh, my charge bothers me so much. It just bothers me. Well, what he should be saying is what I did bothers me so much. And I'm struggling with things right now, and I need help. But he doesn't believe he needs help because it's an inconvenience. The reason he wants off probation and parole is not because he's no longer a threat. It's because it's an inconvenience. Lorne is a slug. He wants to sit around his trailer all day. He doesn't want to come up there. He doesn't want to get his picture taken. He doesn't want to go to class. He wants to just go back to his trailer, check in, never. In his mind, he should never have to do it. If you did it was in a controlled environment, and you sent a young girl down his road in search of help, I made a video about this. He would invite her in, and he would push and try to groom, and if it didn't work out, he'd get mad, and he would know it would get back to probation and parole. He's violent, and to top that off, he's selfish. When he pouts, it's because people have called him out on things he got busted lying for, things he is still getting busted lying for. He doesn't pout when he doesn't get what he wants. That's a manipulation tactic, and you should recognize that. He gets angry because he's selfish, which is why he's angry at probation and parole. And if you don't tell this man exactly what he wants, his idea of a good therapist is one who believes his bullshit. And I pray to God you are not one of those people who believes his bullshit. Because if you show a sign of weakness, if you even hint that what he's saying might have some bearing on his life, you need to make sure when you're talking to him about his younger days, about his childhood, that you're not discussing his charge or how his childhood affected his charge. Because there are plenty of people who grew up in broken homes and worse conditions than he did, that didn't try to traffic a child and didn't have previous victims. Why can't you see that, as he says? You're not taking all of that into account. According to Lorne, the first time this ever happened was when he was lonely and she was the only one who talked to him and he wanted to be there for her and he never meant to go there. And all of his excuses are lies. Just look at that chat log. He thinks that's the only bit of evidence. There's plenty of evidence. You want character witnesses? You've got 1,000 of them. Thousands, tens of thousands, that have listened to this moron spit his garbage and expose himself, not physically, mentally, time and time again. You must make it clear that you want to do everything in your power to get him out of your hair and back into society. And that means Lorne complying with everything and understanding that what he did is serious, and what he did before that was serious, and try to groom Rhoda. It was serious. He doesn't understand. So you need to make sure that he didn't pay for you. He can't just switch counselors. They appointed him someone who's qualified to shut his lies down and to explain to him, Lorne, we're not talking about mac and cheese. We're not talking about you didn't want to go there. You're not talking about how you were mistreated and Uncle Clay and your stepfather who left when you were in your 30s and you made it out like he left when you were a baby. Listen to me. He needs help. And the only way you can effectively give it to him is to be stern. To understand when he's just trying to appease you and he's just saying what you want to hear. Give him an inch, he'll take 1,000 miles. All he needs is one bit of validation. Lorne is as I've said, 0.01% of the time, it works 100% of the time. So if he sees that 0.01% of his lying is getting anywhere with you, he's going to keep it going. I will tell you what he's doing right now. He's keeping you afloat. He's keeping you afloat in the hope that you'll give up on him. And the next counselor will come in, and this one, that'll be the one that finally hears what he's saying and understands where he's coming from. That's not what a good counselor does. Just say, you're right, Lorne. I can totally see what you're talking about. I get it. That's not something that should ever happen. You know this. You know that you shouldn't give him an inch, and that you need to make it clear that you are not there just to listen and spit back what he's saying, because that's not how he gets out of class. Reiterate over and over again that he's one of the only sex offenders in Maine history, the only one in Cornville, who's never, ever gotten out of the class, and who might be in the class when he dies. Take away his feeling that he's special, because he's entitled, and he believes he's special. I don't know why it is. We can't pinpoint it exactly, and you know this, that people who are douchebags and dirtbags, they have a sense of entitlement. I assure you that this man is a racist. and that he feels, even though he's done nothing with his life and has nothing to offer society, that these people who are immigrating, who have come here and worked their butt off and tried to better themselves, yes, they're bad apples. And Lorne probably sees the gang members who have come across that have killed and raped women and says, see, that's all of them. He feels more entitled than the ones who have come over and made something with their lives. Maybe because he thinks that he's white, or that he was born in America. I don't know what it is, but you have to take that sense of entitlement away and make him understand he's at the bottom of the barrel. He's not at the top. He's not innocent. There's no excuse for what he did, no reason he could ever give that would justify it. Play back some of those calls and say, Lorne, you haven't learned anything. This type of behavior as an adult proves that you were a monster even as a child. As you get older, your I don't give a fuck sense kicks in. And Lorne, it kicked in the moment he went to prison. I don't care what anybody says. When a psychologist was trying to talk to him, fake psychologist, someone, or maybe it was real, I don't know, when he was in the Ramona saga, he would say, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what you have to say. He only cares, he says, about what a woman thinks of him. So you need to have a man who is his therapist or his counselor that is going to be strong. Might even make him cry, intimidated. Without it, you're getting nowhere. You're his mom. He was raised by his mom, as he likes to say. So you step in as a substitute for his mom, and from what he makes it sound like, you do what he accuses everybody else of. He gets coddled, and so he doesn't have to tell you anything, because he believes you are there to help him. You're there to protect him from society and not the other way around. So I'm going to try to help you. This is what you need to do. Step in that room. Make it clear to him that the state is getting tired of dealing with him and his excuses and his lies. They have all of the proof they need to keep him on probation for the rest of his life and even make his life more miserable. Don't tell him that it's not going to be anything else than miserable. Tell him that his time is going to be wasted in his eyes. But in the state's eyes, this is the most important time in Lorne's life, in his entire life. This is it. This is the moment. This is when he should accept responsibility and start admitting to what he did, and no more lies. No more lying to himself, lying to you, lying to the rest of the world. He's a kid diddler. Word it however you want. He is the worst of the worst in society. And from now on, the state is no longer going to tolerate his dancing around it. The fact that he can't get through his classes. The fact that he refuses to understand and accept he is a pedophile. Make sure he understands that while alcohol was a factor, it also exposed who he really was. It lowers your inhibitions. It lowered his inhibitions, and he went for a child, which means he knew it was wrong, and he did it anyway. He can't claim ignorance. And so far, it sounds like he's being allowed to claim ignorance. Tell him it's do or die, make or break, right now. Stress that the process of getting off lifetime probation takes up to 10 years. Remind him of his age, and make sure he understands that if he doesn't start making changes now, if he doesn't start doing things like he's supposed to be doing and stepping up to the plate and making himself less of a threat to society, that he is going to have more strict regulations, and as he hates when you say restrictions. Because if you don't make it real, if you don't tell him it's do or die, he's not going to care. Because the only way he changes if he's on the verge of losing something, and his freedom. That's all this man has left. He has no money, no friends, no family that give a shit about him. All he has left is his freedom. So remind him that can be taken away. I don't know how you're going to handle him. I don't know if you can handle him. But that's my advice. To everyone listening, I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. One last thing. A vase doesn't have to know it's broken to be fixed. Apply that to this man.
Hang on, I can't even catch my breath. Hang on.
What?